So I guess we just start and do this alphabetically because it'll be interesting. We might adjust these once we kind of get into the flow of things because Amphis is actually a really, really hard one to pin. So Ground Zero for me, they're the first team in actually quite a while that have had reigns of dominance. In terms of the eras of OCE Rocket League, by the way, we've had the Legacy dominance. So from the very, very, very beginning, for like the first 9 months, Legacy dominated. Then we had another like 6 to 9 months of the Atletico Jam Gaming, the Bango Monticona Snarf reign of dominance. And then about 2 years of Alpha Sydney versus Alpha Sydney / Chiefs reign of dominance. Since then, we had strong teams, like we had Renegades win and stuff like that, but they didn't really feel like reigning dominance, win every single tournament, go to Worlds and smash it out, those kind of things. Be like that team that everybody just has to beat no matter what. But like, you know, you consider Renegades a continuation of Chiefs there, and that could be the case. So you could extend that a little bit further through the Zen and Siki era. If you really wanted to, but that just means there's 3 teams, and I think it depends on your definition on where you're going to go, on whether you say Ground Zero have had that reign of dominance, because they reigned for 2/3 of last season, like 6 months, which is a really good amount. They didn't play in the off season. I think you could easily give it to them. I think if they win the next event or two, or if they make it to the next major, and especially if they make it to the next major as a first seed, they're 100% stamping like a really, really solid reign of dominance that'll last 9 months. Otherwise, it's actually one of the shorter ones. However, I think when it comes to Amphis, obviously he has a bit of a pre-RLCS era where he didn't even make top 8, which was not making it into league play whatsoever, not making it into RLCS. However, once he's got into RLCS, he's come second and then first. You know, RLCS Season 9, he came second to Scarth and Kenny. And he, throughout the year, he got MVP for Season 9, was considered the best player throughout the year. He might be either a low A or a high B for me. He hasn't had the chance to go to a LAN, which is a real major problem when it comes to Amphis. However, purely within the OC region, I mean, he's S almost. It's only longevity that would even stop him from being S. So we'll just put him in A for now, and then we'll see where things go from here, because it might be hard to knock him down based on other people around here. Bango, well, Bango could have been all the way up here. You know, he was really dominant. He was the Amphis of 2016. Second half of 2016 at least. He was the best player in OCE for a great time. He was a brand new player. He came from the very bottom the previous season, and instantly went to the number 1 team and had a reign of dominance. Made it to Worlds for his first go. However, unfortunately, didn't get anything done at Worlds. Fell off a lot. So he's pretty much a D because he's had a reign of dominance and he made Worlds, but he hasn't won a LAN. He didn't win the Season 2 get to Worlds as well. He came second, didn't get a series win. But he's had like 2 things under his belt, both a Worlds and a good reign of dominance. He was the one that toppled down, Aaron and Soma and Groovy Grape / Orion at the time. Caveman Ben is going to be a really interesting one. Brand new basically to tournaments. RLCS Season 10 was his first real RLCS season. Came out really nervous. However, in his first ever split, he took a major, which is a great start. He's been promoted up into a team up to wildcard now, which is a great step for him. Although the results haven't been so great so far, but It also doesn't matter in the off season what the results are. It's what results you get in RLCS that matter. But overall, he's probably sitting underneath Bango. Obviously hasn't had any of this, maybe hitting an F. That major win though is pretty big and actually gave him a chance to get to Worlds if it was available at the time. We'll put him at the bottom of D for now. CJ, he's been to 3 Worlds at this point. Hasn't won a single series at Worlds, but has won some international series against the likes of PSG, gone close with NRG, and beaten some of the lower international teams at DreamHacks. So you'd have to put him probably above Amphis, just through sheer longevity and the fact that Amphis hasn't had the chance to prove himself at LANs. CJ's proved himself to be capable of getting to LANs in the past. Hasn't had a great last year though. I guess you could also point out the fact that he's been a big face of the region and has streamed a lot. He's very popular too, which could technically put him up towards S, but not really going to take that too much into account. Now, I put it this F category because I wanted an F for like a flop or a fail. Previously didn't have F in here, but Cyrix is reserved essentially for this F category because he had a really, really rough career. So he actually, there's only ever been 2 teams to ever win LANs in OCE, and that's Legacy Esports, who have won 2, and then Alpha Sydney Chiefs / Renegades, who have won every single other one. All the ESL Australia or ANZ champs, as well as when Throwdown had LANs, which was 3 LANs. Man, 2017, we had 6 LANs, I think. At least 6. We may have had even more, thanks to the cheer, Jadelva. Yeah, not Gfinity Season 1. I never really counted Gfinity Elite Series, but it is a fair cop for sure that you could put Shady, Dumbo, and Express as LAN winners. I never really thought of that as a true like LAN because it was missing top teams. Like Tainted Minds wasn't there in the first one. But yeah, you could put them in there, and we'll include that. Tier list is upside down. Cyrix should be on top. Probably. But Cyrix had just a really, really sad run. He came second. He got reverse swept in his LAN. Game 7, reverse sweep. Really, really, really tough loss for him. That was the start of the meme One More, where when he had to just win one more game at the beginning before the reverse sweep started, he turned to camera and just said one more. And of course he didn't get one more. It was a game 7 overtime as well. So it wasn't just a reverse sweep, but it was a game 7 overtime reverse sweep. Sad for him. At the first ever RLCS qualifying, which was another LAN, he lost in another game 5, and I think that was a reverse sweep too. And they were in a good position to win game 5, and that was against Jam Gaming, who ended up qualifying in the end. So there's and I know if you talk to Cyrix, he would talk about the fact that he thinks that there's a good chance that if he beat that team, that he could have gone on and qualified through the lower bracket to Worlds, and that would have been a huge change in his career in the OCE landscape. Deca here, he's looking pretty good. He's won RLCS Season 9, so unlike a lot of other players who don't have a major win under their belt but have still gone to Worlds, like Bango has major wins, but who else has not got a major win but has gone to Worlds? Your Ladux, your Walcotts, and Spy Dogs, they've all been to Worlds but didn't win to get there. They won in a different event. Who else? Has there been anyone who's been to Worlds but hasn't won a major event of any kind? Shady won in RLCS Season 6. Jules. No, Jules won RLCS Season 9. He didn't win to get to Worlds, but he won RLCS Season 9. Kia's the only one. Kia's the only one who hasn't won a major event. Hey, he's been to Worlds, but he hasn't won a major event once in OCE. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, Kia. Oh, the only reason it stops him from being the F is he got to travel to Washington, D.C. Oh, that hurts. But Deco won RLCS Season 9. He qualified for Worlds. He's been to DreamHacks as well, back when they were a thing. I'll tell you what, the one sad thing about OCE, and it's probably true all over the world, but especially for OCE, is that a lot of players at the end of 2019 recontracted, looked at their contracts, and put a lot of clauses around like international travel, boot camps, DreamHacks, and that stuff into their contracts as a major part of the value of their contracts. And then COVID happened, and all of a sudden they were super stiffed because they were, if those weren't the case, if we knew what was happening in 2020, I'm sure those players would have got more money or less prize split or more prize split for themselves, that kind of thing. Because, yeah, again, a lot of the value that they looked for was the support of getting them for boot camps to get overseas. And that's the case for a lot of the players at the top of OCE at the end of 2019. But for Deca, won RLCS Season 9, missed out on Worlds for that, but he has been to a Worlds. Unfortunately, didn't get a series win, but that was the that was RLCS Season 7, the new format. And it was really tough pools of 3. They looked pretty decent against Vitality. But we'll put him up here. He's won a major. He's stayed at the top. Got top 2 in RLCSX. Could have been a lot higher, but hasn't really got too much under his belt in terms of Worlds. Now Drippe is going straight up to S. He is the second highest earner of all time. No, the third highest earner of all time, technically now. Was the second highest earner for a long time. However, if you count the fact that he is the first player ever to get an international contract and the amount of money that he got from that, he would either be very clear number 2, because he's pretty close to being number 2, just behind Express, or he could even be number 1 based on the value of that contract, though it would have to be pretty significant because Torsos, who is number 1 in terms of earnings, did have like a contract with Renegades throughout the same time, so that Drippe was at EG. But Drippe is a huge loss. Not only has his career been so important, but when he moved to EG, it actually dismantled an entire region. It actually destroyed OCE for like a full year before it would be able to recover. RLCS's Season 7 and 8 were hard for OCE, especially RLCS Season 7. That one was a real downturn. And it was because we lost such big talent in Drippe, and then it caused like a huge ripple-on effect of shuffling and whatnot lower down, and there wasn't just the level of experience that he had in there. Where's there Zest? He's not. He'd be Zed. He'd be Zed at best. So Drippe, huge talent. I'm glad that he's enjoyed his career, but sad that it is over. It felt like he was really playing awesomely at the end of last season, and I would have liked to see him at LAN again, but he can be really happy with his career, and hell, he's gone home with a real bank. You know, his bank account's got to be bussin'. Dumbo, F tier, but he's going to be higher than Cyrix. Now, that doesn't mean it's not sadder than Cyrix. Dumbo probably has the saddest career of all time. I think he has 5 third places. Well, not 5 third places, but 5 chances to to have qualified for a world spot. If I recall, Season 3, he lost Game 7 overtime in the upper bracket, then lost Game 7 in the lower bracket, RLCS Season 3. He could have been there. At the time, he was such a well-known character. He was like the CJ of OCE during his day, as being just such a well-known player that people really wanted him to be there internationally, and he got super close. He had some tough times with one of his teammates as well during that era, so potentially didn't work out for him. And then RLCS Season 4 again came third. Season 5, if I recall, was knocked out in both the upper bracket and lower bracket again. Season 4, he had a really tough time because he had Snarf on his team, who we'll talk about later, but Snarf had kind of given up, and they got Game 5 in 4th place. That was his only 4th place. Season 6, I think he also came 3rd place. But he's still moseying around every now and again. We still see him around here. Hey, come on, man. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, if you want to do your own list, here's this list. Hey, Dumbo's F for flop, S for failure, right? Like, he was so close. He could have been C tier if he just won one more game. If he just won more, it is better than being perma 4th elusive, which is why he's specifically above Cyrix right here. Yeah. F had fun. Good. Aaron. Aaron's a name that 90% of you probably don't know. However, he has won more lands than everybody except for Torsos, Drippe, and Jake. He has won more lands than any of those players, because he won the first ever LAN, not just the first LAN for OCE, but the first international LAN. The first international LAN, as in the first LAN internationally. The first ever LAN in Rocket League, or the first ever like competitive LAN, as opposed to like a pickup LAN, where you had to qualify and be one of the best in the regions. That was the well, I was about to say Gameroos. That was the Cyber Gamer Season 2 LAN. CGP, highest quality of Rocket League and OCE. Guess who he won it over? He probably won it over Cyrix, didn't he? Didn't he? Well, he's actually really hard to place. However, once we got to Worlds, they came 6th. They were one game away against one of 2 different teams. They could have beat Corvidae, who forfeited half their games during that first season. They lost in Game 5, and the same against Cyrix's team, won more in order to get to LAN. They were really confident with their LAN ability to make it like through to Worlds if they made LAN, but they just didn't make LAN. I don't know really where to put Aaron. I will point out, whoever can get closest in value to the total prize pool that Aaron has won without looking at Wikipedia in the next 20 seconds, I will gift you a sub. Whoever's closest in the next 20 seconds. If you guys can get close, he won 2 LANs. He dominated the region for 9 months. 18k, 19k, 8,700, 1,500, 1,700, 25 grand. Man, this guy was dominant. Man. He won $1,749. Congratulations to Trod, who I will gift a sub to at the end of this. $1,700 essentially is all he got after dominating the region for 9 months. If you look at what that would mean for somebody like Amphis, that would be like 60k for a shorter period of dominance from Amphis. Just what they got from RLCS X alone. Absolutely nuts, the amount of value that has gone up in Rocket League in OCE since the very beginning. He's kind of like so early on that he would have earned 50 times as much if he was as good these days. Of course, it's harder to be at the top these days, so of course that does come into account. But it gives you some context of how much money has increased over these years. But yeah, $1,750. That might even be underreported. It might be missing like the first Cyber Gamer tournament, something like that. It's got to be not. That's got to be not all of it. I think it's got to be actually closer to 3,000. But that's what's listed on Liquipedia. Crazy to think about. Obviously, being more successful than Kia. I gotta put him just behind Bango. Bango, who's been to Worlds, has won. He won a major event. He won the RLOC, the original Rocket League OCE Championship, by the way. Before Throwdown called it the Throwdown Rocket League OCE Championship. So we have two. We actually have 3 different Rocket League OCE Championships because I think. Yeah, the ESL Rocket League OCE Championship as well. Express is in a really, really interesting position. He's, funnily enough, been more successful recently than before. A lot of this, he was below CJ. A lot of his career was below CJ. He went to the first Worlds with Bango and Monty Connor, where they went 1-6. He went to his second Worlds with CJ in RLCS Season 6, so he missed out multiple times as kind of similar to Dumbo coming 3rd place, missing out on upper bracket, lower bracket qualifying matches repeatedly. Game 7s, can't win them. However, because of his performance in RLCS X, and RLCS Season 9, winning 2 more major events, I could have put him above CJ. If CJ still hasn't won an event at RLCS, so they're kind of just even on that, even though CJ's been to more Worlds. Express would have equalized with him, or even gone to more had they not been cancelled. He could be bottom of S. He could be bottom of S or top of A. Yeah, oh no, goodness. I can move this up here because it's not going to change up there. Fever. Similar to Amphis, shortish career. Again, we might move some of these at the end because, I mean, we've got nobody in B yet. We might have to move Amphis down to B, as I said. Maybe move Decker up, maybe shifts things around, but we'll see for now. Fever, very short career, has a major victory over Caveman Ben, alongside Caveman Ben. However, he also has a regional victory at the same time afterwards with the Renegades. So that puts him at least above Caveman Ben. Very, very fresh career. I think he's going to rocket up this list pretty quickly, but he hasn't achieved too much just yet. A solid Season 9, coming top 4 in Season 9 as well. And then a quite good Season 10, Season X. But still hasn't been to Worlds. But this is his chance to be there at his first international of this split. Go to the major, potentially. We'll see if that's the case. Groovy Grape. Groovy Grape's the same as Aaron, but was later on. This is getting tough. He's won a LAN. He won 1 LAN. By the way, Express was another player that won a LAN. When I said there were 2 teams, Express, Dumbo, and Shady also won the Gfinity Elite Series Season 1. Groovy Great won 1 LAN, had a shorter time of dominance, and played a little bit longer in RLCS, but I'm going to consider him lower than Aaron. But now that I think about Dumbo winning a LAN, I have to put Dumbo higher than Groovy Great. Congratulations, Dumbo. You've made it above Groovy Great. Jake. By the way, Groovy Great was the original keyboard player of OCE. If you guys didn't know, he was a KBM player. His reign was there before Torsos. So he was the KBM player of OCE, and technically like the world, because there weren't a lot of KBM players internationally. It's just an OCE thing. Now Jake. For Jake, we obviously have a lot of success here. And most importantly, success internationally, as well as domestically, was part of the dominance of OCE throughout 2000. It was from the very end of 2016 when he won the Sennheiser Classic and continued that on, won the Throwdown Rocket League Challenge, which was like a pre-RLCS tournament that was done probably as a test to see if Throwdown could run some major events. It was the first event that Throwdown ran, and then the 2 majors that Throwdown ran, the 2 LANs that Throwdown ran, every single ESL AUNZ champs that was done for Rocket League, so 3 more LANs that year. So he won at least 6 LANs for us that year, won pretty much every OCE tournament, and had a highest placing of 5th at Worlds and the lowest placing of 7th. Never had a 2 series loss at Worlds. And for that, I'm actually going to throw him above Express. High quality of career. Do we want to put him in S? That's even an argument you could make. A? Jake has to be S if Amphis is A. Amphis is... Okay, we're moving Amphis down to B. I think that's fair. I mean, it's also unfair on Amphis, but Amphis just hasn't had the chance to prove himself internationally. There we go. All right. Jules. Jules is an interesting one. Probably the one player on this list well known for throwing an RLCS match. When he was up there with against Team Envy at the time, the Devo, Remco, and who is their third? Maybe. Who was their third? Devo, Remco. No, it wasn't Bluey. RLCS Season 5. They lost to Mets, Mog, and probably Greasy in the... iGnite. Yes. It has to have been iGnite. Yeah, I mean, when they were 2-1 up, and they were 3-0 or 3-1 up in the game, and things fell apart from there, and that would have been the first time that we saw both OCE teams get a series win, and that could have really propelled Jules up this ranking. He's been to 2 Worlds. He's had a pretty solid amount of prize money, 60,000 roughly prize money. A very long career. He's been here since the very beginning, but he wasn't like a huge force early on, but he was in the top tier even in the early Cyber Gamer days when, you know, Aaron and Soma were having their period of dominance. Actually, funnily enough, Jules was the first player on the first team alongside Groovy Grape to take down Aaron and Soma in one of the major tournaments, in a Cyber Gamer League play match. He was the first player alongside Groovy Grape. They were on a team at the time, funnily enough. So that was his original claim to fame. Dream Ace should be on this list. What, as the biggest? Maybe we will do the biggest throws in Rocket League OCE history. And funnily enough, 2 of those, maybe 3 of those, do include CJ. Because if we think about it, Dream A was on a team with Jules and so many of them include Jules. Oh no, he was on a team with CJ and Jules when they got reverse swept in the upper bracket to not qualify for league play in RLCS Season 3. And then Game 5 overtimed by Kami, Billy, and Nerd in the lower bracket to not qualify as well. And so, one of the 3 throws, I'm also thinking about, what I just talked about with Jules against Envy, CJ, of course, and CJ, the throw for RLCS Season 7 alongside Express and Shady to not make it with the reverse sweep in the upper bracket in the Game 7 overtime in the lower bracket after being favourites to take a spot at LAN. Dream Ace won a total of $17. Oh no. So Jules, I'm kind of looking around here. He's made 2 worlds, pretty significant. Has had a really long career. Won Season 9 alongside Deca. You could argue maybe that they're kind of the same area. It's hard to separate the 2 because recent times they've been on the same team for such a long time now, because Deca pulled Jules back across with him to Cringe Society, and they had a very similar record in the first split. But I think the longevity of Jules probably puts him just above. Oh, Jules has also been to 2 worlds and Deca's only been to 1. Perfect. Does Jules still play? Jules is just retired, as far as we know. He hasn't officially tweeted or anything about it, but I'm pretty sure he's just 100% retired. Kami's international career has been interesting because the first 2 times he went, he came dead last. Was the first New Zealand player to ever score a goal in RLCS, because Monty Connor was the first New Zealand player to go, but he didn't score a goal. Living amongst 3 legends of OCE and 1 SAM player with Spydoge and Zenulus to not score a goal at RLCS. Why is Caveman Ben on this list? He won a major. Something that you haven't done, mate. I guess you won a regional. How is Caveman Ben better than Dumbo and Cyrix? I don't see them winning anything. Kami's interesting because the lower performances earlier on, but he's also a player who came 4th at Worlds. A player who came 4th at Worlds. So where does he actually fit? He's had incredible success after it. He's been to 4 Worlds now. 5? Season 4, Season 5, Season 6, Season 7. He's been to Season 7 and Season 8. So he's been to 5 out of the possible 6. He hasn't missed a Worlds, although he probably would have had there been Worlds in the last year. So he's been to more Worlds than Jake. He's got a 4th place, but he's also got some pretty stinker land results as well. Wow. This is actually hard to place him. It's not hard to place him in A. Let's face it. He could even technically be S if you really wanted to. By the way, prize pool wise, Kami's sitting at $81,790, which actually puts him at 4th in the region, just ahead of Amphis, who's 5th. Crazy to think about Amphis' short career and how he's so high up here already. But But Kami, yeah, 4th in the region in terms of total prize money. Again, these are scaled up a lot. You know, you think about Jake. If Jake had been as successful as he was then now, you know, that scale of money, he'd probably be sitting at 100k, maybe something like that. He'd be sitting ahead potentially of Kami. However, Kami hasn't sat there with a... We'll put him here. That's so hard because he's like obviously just way above CJ in this list. Wow, this is actually like a really difficult way to split these guys. Born too early. Well, you know, maybe if it was later, maybe you wouldn't have had the competition to, or like maybe there'd have been too much competition to have the level of success he had. I will say Jake Drippe Torsos had the absolute advantage of kind of coming into their reign of dominance as RLCS came in. They won the very, very last reasonably sized tournaments, or like one of all the big top teams in there. The very last tournament of that previous year before RLCS came in, of 2016. A tournament that ended in December, mid-December, just before Christmas. And then in January and February, January was a LAN event, February was RLCS announced, and got to have like their reign of dominance right at that perfect time. And even still, during that, they won that last event in a Game 7, 2 Game 7s in a row, by the way, in the semifinals and the grand finals. Won it in Game 7, and they still weren't necessarily expected to be the best team. Winning the next event cemented themselves, winning the next LAN cemented themselves as the best team. And so some interesting scenarios around that. But yeah, that's really difficult to place Kami and Express and Jake, right? I feel like CJ doesn't really belong besides these guys. So I'm actually going to move CJ down to B, which also feels harsh because he's been to 3 worlds. He's been to 3 worlds, but I don't think his career is the same level as these guys. With Kami having a 4th place, Express not just having such a long career always at the top, but also a huge amount of recent success. Jake, who in terms of his career has never had a terrible result and was part of that dominant period of OCE. I already did, or is it not? Is it not? Whatever. Leduc. Alright, so Kia's never won any kind of major event, but Leduc has, and he's been to Worlds. Because Leduc won a regional, came second in a major. So he's got to be above Kia. He's got to be above Caveman Ben, and he's got to be above Fever. Aaron never made Worlds, but he did win 2 LANs. Is Leduc going to get carried by an event and a major? I don't think so. I think Bango and Aaron's length of dominance outpaces Leduc. Why did Jake stop? He started falling off, and I think university became more important. He just started falling off mechanically. Monty Connor. Why is... Mate, have you not been listening? Groovy Great won 1 LAN, Aaron won 2. Monty Connor. Monty Connor has been to Worlds, was part of the dominance of Bango era, and had a slightly longer career, having been very close to qualifying again in the following couple of seasons. This is starting to become a very, very big list here in terms of the Ds. Yeah, Decker is chilling his own tier, so we might start moving people up from D. Requiem. Requiem has won a major, and not just a major tournament, but an actual major, which is pretty huge. He's been more successful than Caveman Ben. He's been more successful than Fever. He's made top 4 a couple of times now. on top of his career, but never been to Worlds, so he's gonna get blocked off by Leduc. I'm gonna move Monty Connor and Bango up to here, up to C tier. Chubb, you just got to stop saying it. It's stupid and cringe. CJ's impact on OCE's kind of personality. I mean, I did talk about that, and I also said it's not really going to like be a part of this list, right? Right, like CJ in terms of career impact. Yeah, but we're just talking about like esports career, like how successful they have been in terms of their results. You know, you could put him higher if you're like, you know, if he'd had better results. He's just not won a series at RLCS. He's had his rough moments in his career. You got to argue that he's been very, very successful. Probably should have been more successful, but is how it is. Shady's an interesting one as well. Only been to one Worlds. Struggled. Should have probably taken down EG. But then Chicago popped off and 1v3'd. Very much known for having the worst open net miss of OCE history that could have cost him a World spot. RLCS Season 4 with the finals at PAX in the upper bracket. Just the worst miss. Ball straight in front of an open net somehow. Like, and by straight in front of an open net, I don't mean like, you know, at the edge of the box or anything. Like, literally a meter away from the open net. He somehow managed to hit the corner and lose the game. So, yeah. Tough one for Shady, but he's stamped his name on the competition. Shady has been to a Worlds, and he won OCE in order to qualify for Worlds, which I think means quite a fair bit, even if at Worlds you didn't get that performance. But they actually won OCE, CJ, Shady, and Express at the time. So I'm actually going to put him just above Leduc. I don't know if he goes above Eren yet. Eren's like blocking people off for me just because of his 2 LAN wins, even though they were pre-RLCS. So we're going to have to figure that one out. Siki's been to 2 Worlds, has got a series win at Worlds against South America, against Low Key Esports at the time, who were a really good team. Very, very famous for the second worst play in esports history globally, with a own goal 9 minutes into overtime against Veloce. So maybe that moves him up a little bit too. But 2 Worlds performances, overall a great career, and he's been playing since pretty much the very, very start. I think he's hindered himself too. He also had a 2nd place at LAN, which throughout the time was pretty impressive to get a 2nd place at LAN during the dominance of the Alpha Chiefs era. That would have been, I think, AUNZ Champ Season 2 held at IM Sydney. It might have been even Season 1. I think it was Season 2 though. So I got to put him just above Deca at least. I think just below Jules. Or even just above Jules. Where are we thinking? I'm actually thinking maybe just above Jules. Because the 2nd place at LAN's pretty good. Getting a series win at LAN's pretty good. But he's only been to 2 RLCSs. He could even go above Amphis, but then it becomes much of a muchness, you know? You're just arguing different quantities, whether like Amphis's huge recent success is more important than Sicky's. I guess he also had a great 2020 like mid-season. He had a reign of dominance, even if it was very, very short. Hard to really peg the 2. I think the 2 Worlds performances maybe just puts him above Amphis. Snarf. hasn't won a LAN. Very interesting one from Snarf. He had a reign of dominance. That's why he's here, alongside Monty Connor and Bango. That's the only reason he's on this list. But never won a LAN. Did win on a major event, won RLO Championship, which was like our first big tournament. It was 4,500 AUD, by the way. That was the total prize money of the biggest tournament at the time, and it was a major deal. It was huge. So crazy to think about. That was like basically my last event. Pre-RLCS. He played in RLCS Season 3, didn't do so well. I was known for helping split up the Monty Connor Bango trio at the end of the first LAN event of 2017. Well, Monty probably split it up because, girlfriends were exchanged, essentially. Interesting tale behind that one, but that's what split up that team. They no longer became friends after that one. And yeah, so Snarf. Season 4 was his last season, and Dumbo very much wouldn't be impressed with him. He seemed to be over Rocket League in Season 4 and was just playing it out. And so didn't really try hard, and that was probably a large reason why Dumbo and I think it was Adzi on the team with him at the time bombed out in 4th after losing Game 5, of course. Has to be Game 5. Maybe Dumbo would have gone to Worlds that season if they hadn't played as Snarf. Soma, interesting position, same as Aaron. They were on a team together as the dominant team in the region for so long. Soma just above Aaron because he continued to play after Aaron retired alongside Groovy Grape. Unfortunately, they played 2 more seasons basically and didn't get that same level of success that they ever managed to get with Aaron. So he is above Aaron, didn't make his Worlds. If RLCS had been there a year earlier, Soma and Aaron, and I think Groovy Grape, would have all been to Worlds. They would have been to the first, RLCS Season 1 Worlds. That was during a period that they were still dominant in. And even if it was the end of that year, Season 2, they also would have made Worlds because they were the second best team behind Monty, Bango, and Snarf at the time. Spydoge. He's going to be sitting at a very similar spot to Leduc because most of his success has been on that same team. Has a little bit of more success just because of his RLCS Season 9 with Cringe Society. Was Cringe Society? Yeah. So not too much to say there. Hasn't been to Worlds. Has been to Worlds. Didn't score a single goal at Worlds, which was unfortunate because he wasn't a bad player. Like, he was considered the best player on that team, but wasn't able to score a goal. That's going to be hard when you get 0-6. Torsos. So, where are people thinking Torsos should go? And say above or below a certain player. S below Drip, above Drip in his own tier. S behind Drip, below Drip in S. Below Drip, Torsos tier, behind Drip, high A or low S, above Drip, below CJ. Better S below Drip A. Interesting. I'm sorry, guys, but I have to put him above Drip A. Torsos is definitely got to be above Drip A. It is close, and you can argue that Drip A should be higher if you talk about the success of that move from OCE to North America. The problem is that Drip A's career after that wasn't the same dominance as before that. If Drip A came back and continued to have a similar level of career, then he would easily be number 1. But Torsos has stayed at the very top. He's been to every single Worlds. He's got the highest prize money as well, and by a significant margin. He's actually earned himself, according to Liquipedia, 140k, the second highest being Express at 107k, and then Drip A at 101k. Now, if you do really value the move to NA, and that was a huge deal, especially at the time, then you could definitely put Drip A above. But in terms of pure individual results, Torsos has been the best, winning as well throughout Season 8, which Drip A didn't get because he was a CJ and Express at the time. Season 9, where Torsos and Drip A were on the same team, so obviously one's not going to get on the head of the other. And then Torsos continuing on RLCS Season 10, being on the dominant ground zero. So you have to give it to him. Torsos has been to more worlds, and he's had more success afterwards. Drip A did also get a 4th place at a DreamHack, but he also got relegated out of NA. Can't really blame Drip A for that one, but still, as a pure like results-based tier list, you gotta put Torsos above Drip A, in my opinion. Now there is one other aspect between this, is that Drip A had a career before Torsos. Torsos was a much more recent addition. Drip A been playing from the very start. But they both only really came to prominence at the same time. Drip A wasn't the top player in the region or anything like that before joining up with Torsos. Walcott. Walcott's another interesting one. He's obviously going to be above Spy, Doge, and Leduc, and he's still actively at the top of OCE. His first event in RLCS was RLCS Season 4 on Conspiracy Esports, where he came 5th. And a very interesting 5th, because he got 3-2. If I recall, he got 3-2 against 6, 7, and 8, and then got 3-0'd by all of the top 4. So even though they were clear 5th team, it was a really interesting result, that they were just like beating everyone below them, but absolutely getting crushed by the people above. You 3-0'd Siki. Okay, so you got 1 3-0 of the people below you. Very nice. Oh, elusive. So Walcott, successful before that, has had a long career. Like, he's a veteran now. Only season he missed out, or the only he wasn't there for RLCS Season 3. He's got a major win. He's got a regional win. He's got a Worlds performance where he did score a goal. Really, really hard to place when it comes to Shady. I'm going to put him above Shady. Now, it's becoming a really interesting contention that, like, 2 LAN wins is just, like, blocking off people from moving on up. And this D tier is getting way too big. It's getting way too big. So we're probably going to have to deal with that. Zenulus, been to Worlds, didn't score a goal, didn't win a series there. Has got a regional win as well, a major win, in terms that he won in order to get to Worlds, which was also a LAN win, if I recall. So, was it a LAN win? No, he won before LPL. That was pre-LPL. So that was Gfinity. It wasn't a LAN win. Still a major win to get to Worlds. And he came second in the Gfinity Elite Series. So he got a second place LAN too, taking down the dominant Chiefs at the time. Where do you put Zen? Where do you put Zen? I mean, he's got to be in this category up here almost. I think I'm going to have to downgrade the value of Eren and Soma and stop them from blocking off the rest of these Worlds players in order to move people up. So we got to move Walcott 1 up. And we're going to move Shady one up. And we've moved Soma and Eren behind the world's performances. Sure, they've got 2 land wins, the first land win. But they haven't got the worlds under their belt. Yeah, congrats Walcott on getting moved up. And this actually starts looking a little bit better. So we've actually got Kia, who's been to worlds but has never got a regional victory. He's actually like in such a weird spot. Because you K-Man, Ben, Fever, Requiem all have regional victories but no worlds. And not even like we would have qualified for worlds if it wasn't for COVID. When they went to the major and they won the major, they weren't number 2 going into the major. You won the regional. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about in terms of a regional victory. Not as big as, say, I guess Shady's regional victory to go to worlds. So maybe he moves up. But Kia doesn't even have that, Walcott. Kia doesn't have a regional victory, or he's just been to Worlds, but never won anything locally. I think we move Kia down. And I think that makes a nice, like, kind of stared list. Or we could even argue to try and, like, take people out of C tier and one out of D tier, bring them down so it like stairs all the way down so it's bottom heavy. Zen was BM'd by a smoke machine. I think this just looks good. I think we're just in a good position. Has won OCE events, has had the longer career than Fever. This is probably the place that I last want to have a look. Going to Worlds means F. If he won a series or anything at Worlds, then yeah, like he'd be bouncing way up. And you guys would have probably been down here too, right? If you hadn't won events. Sirix on the same tier as a Worlds player. Let's go, Sirix. You're getting a demotion. No, I think I'm pretty happy with this list. I just need to figure out whether we want to move any of these. Express has won a LAN. Kami has not won a LAN. Or no, he did. He won Elite Series Season 2. He won a similar LAN to Express. Express over Jake? Express hasn't won a series at RLCS. You play with keyboard only, no mouse. You suggest controller. Hey, I also play keyboard only, no mouse. But Torsos doesn't play a controller. Kami over Jake. Kami has a 4th place at Worlds, but only 1 series win outside of that. So it's very, very difficult. This is what I'm saying. It's like kind of what you value. It's what you value. I never put Express over Jake. Unless, like, I'm also putting Kami over Jake. As if I'm, like... I'd only put Express over Jake if I'm not going to value wins against international teams. So, like, you could move Jake down here. I think that might be fair. Just because this is continuing on with Express and Kami. In which case, we're not valuing Worlds wins. Express is the 3rd highest prize earner. No, the 2nd highest prize earner in OCE. However, I think if Jake was, pushed back his his success, then he'd be a higher prize earner because he'd be earning so much more points at Worlds. Jake, Kami, you. All right, we heard it here first, folks. From the Expert Express himself. If Kami... The thing is, you could also put Kami up there because he's been to 5 Worlds and Jake was at 3. And he's had a 4th place at Worlds, which is better than Jake. So if you want to go like straight number of Worlds, then he's up there. But Jake was part of like the period of dominance in OCE. Express has been to 2 Worlds, but he's had like... He would have been to 2 more. He would have been to 2 more in RLCS and RLCS Season 9. So he would have been at 4 Worlds, so he'd actually have been more at Jake. So, yeah. I think we're good. I think this is a good list. If you guys want to send me yours, please link me in the chat. I did link it earlier. I'll link it again. However, that's the list for OCE. I think it was a good look back at the history of OCE too. Hope you guys like